I thought I knew my wife. 20 years of marriage, 2 beautiful children, a home we built together from nothing. But the woman I loved, the woman I trusted with every fiber of my being, had been living a double life for a decade. And when I finally discovered the truth, I didn't just walk away. I made sure she understood exactly what she'd destroyed. The discovery came on an ordinary Tuesday morning. I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't suspicious. After 2 decades together, I thought we'd grown past all that insecurity, past all those fears that plague younger couples. Sarah and I had weathered storms that would have sunk most. Marriages, financial struggles when my business nearly failed, her mother's long battle with cancer, the challenges of raising 2 kids while both working demanding jobs. We were a team, or so I believed. I was looking for our tax documents in her home office when I found the phone. Not her regular phone, a second one, tucked into the back of her desk drawer beneath a stack of old greeting cards. My hands trembled as I powered it on, some primal instinct already screaming, the truth before my conscious mind could catch up. The messages went back 10 years. 10 years of I love yous and I miss yous sent to someone named Marcus. 10 years of stolen weekends when she claimed to be at business conferences. 10 years of a parallel life I knew nothing about. I sat on the floor of her office, phone in hand, as 20 years of memories rearranged themselves into something unrecognizable. Every late night at work, every girl's trip, every time she'd seemed distant, it all suddenly made horrible, perfect sense. The rage came first, hot and blinding. I wanted to smash everything, to scream, to make her feel even a fraction of the agony tearing through my chest. But as I sat there, surrounded by the debris of our life together, something shifted. I thought about our kids, Emma, 17, and Daniel, 14. I thought about the devastation this would unleash on them. And I thought about the man Sarah had been betraying me with for a decade, wondering if he even knew about us, about our children, about the life she'd kept hidden from him too. That's when clarity came. I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to give Sarah the satisfaction of watching me fall apart. Instead, I was going to do something she'd never expect. I was going to show her exactly what real character looked like, even in the face of ultimate betrayal. I spent the next 3 days gathering information quietly, methodically. I learned that Marcus was divorced, that he genuinely seemed to believe Sarah was separated from me, living a temporary arrangement for the kids' sake. She'd painted herself as the martyr, stuck in a loveless marriage, waiting for the right time to be free. The lies were breathtaking in their complexity. On Friday evening, I asked Sarah to sit down. She knew immediately something was wrong. Maybe she saw it in my eyes. That fundamental shift when you realize you're looking at a stranger. I found your phone, I said simply. I know about Marcus. I know everything. The color drained from her face. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. David, I can explain? Don't, I held up my hand. I don't want explanations. I don't want excuses. I want you to listen. What I did next surprised even me. Instead of rage, instead of threats, I spoke calmly about the 20 years we'd shared. I reminded her of the kids we'd raised, the dreams we'd built together, the promises we'd made. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I simply laid out with painful clarity everything she was destroying. Then I told her my plan. You're going to tell Marcus the truth, all of it. You're going to explain that you've been lying to him for 10 years, that you were never separated, never planning to leave. You're going to give him the chance to walk away from this deception, with his dignity intact. David, please. I'm not finished, I continued. Then you're going to sit down with Emma and Daniel, and you're going to tell them the truth, not some sanitized version, the real truth. They deserve to know who their mother really is. They deserve to understand why our family is falling apart. Sarah's tears came then, hard and desperate. You're trying to turn them against me. You're trying to ruin my life. No, I said quietly. You already did that yourself. I'm just making sure everyone sees clearly what you chose to do. But here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to badmouth you around town. I'm not going to turn our friends against you. I'm not going to fight dirty over assets or custody. You're going to face the natural consequences of your choices. Sarah, that's all. The conversation with Marcus happened 2 days later. I called him myself, invited him to a coffee shop. He arrived looking confused and wary. When I introduced myself as Sarah's husband, her very much not separated, not planning to divorce husband. The devastation on his face was real. He'd been lied to just as thoroughly as I had. "She told me you two had been done for years," he said, voice hollow. "She said you knew about us, that you'd agreed to keep up appearances until the kids graduated. We talked for 2 hours. Two men who'd both loved and trusted a woman who'd betrayed us both. By the end, something unexpected had happened. We'd found a strange sort of solidarity in our shared pain. Marcus wasn't the villain I'd imagined. He was another casualty of Sarah's deception. The conversation with our kids was harder than anything I've ever done. Sarah sat beside me, tears streaming down her face, as we explained together that we were separating. But then, staying true to what I'd told her, I made her explain why. She had to look Emma and Daniel in the eyes and admit what she'd done. Emma's face crumpled. Daniel just went silent, a terrible, stunned silence. But I held firm. They needed to hear it from her, not from gossip or speculation. They needed the truth, as painful as it was. In the weeks that followed, something remarkable happened. The ruination I'd promised wasn't the scorched earth warfare Sarah had feared. It was something much more profound. It was simply the truth, laid bare for everyone to see. Her affair partner left, unable to reconcile the woman he'd thought he knew with the reality of her deception. Her family, learning the full scope of her lies, expressed their disappointment. Her friends, gradually understanding what had happened, began to distance themselves, but I kept my word. I didn't spread rumors. I didn't embellish. I didn't seek revenge beyond ensuring the truth was known. When people asked me what happened, I told them simply, "Sarah had an affair. We're divorcing. I'm focused on the kids now." The divorce proceedings were straightforward. We split assets fairly. We agreed to joint custody, though both Emma and Daniel chose to live primarily with me, not because I'd turned them against their mother, but because they'd lost trust in her. That was Sarah's consequence to bear, not something I'd manufactured. Through it all, I focused on kindness, not to Sarah, but to everyone else caught in the blast radius. I checked on Marcus, who was struggling with his own heartbreak. I supported Emma and Daniel through therapy. I maintained relationships with Sarah's family members who'd been nothing but good to me over the years. I refused to let her betrayal turn me into someone bitter and vengeful. A year later, I ran into Sarah at Daniel's soccer game. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. She asked if we could talk. "I destroyed everything, didn't I?" she said quietly. "You didn't have to lift a finger. I did it all myself." "Yes," I agreed. "You did. But Sarah, I never wanted to ruin your life. I just wanted you to face what you'd done. There's a difference." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I thought you'd be cruel. Instead, you were just honest. Somehow that was worse." "No," I corrected gently. "It was better. Because now everyone, including you, knows the truth. And maybe, someday, you can rebuild from there. Not with me, but with yourself. Today, 2 years after that terrible Tuesday, I'm not the same man I was. I've learned that the most powerful response to betrayal isn't revenge, it's integrity. Sarah lost everything: her marriage, her affair partner, the respect of her children, the trust of her community. But she didn't lose it because I destroyed her. She lost it because truth is more powerful than any revenge I could have crafted. Emma and Daniel are healing. They have a relationship with their mother now, cautious but real. I'm dating again, slowly, carefully, having learned that trust must be earned and verified. And Marcus? We've become unlikely friends, bonded by shared experience and mutual respect. I didn't ruin Sarah's life. I simply refused to help her hide from the consequences of her choices. In the end, that made all the difference. Because real strength isn't about vengeance, it's about standing firm in your values even when everything around you is crumbling. It's about choosing truth over comfort, integrity over revenge, and humanity over hatred. That's the lesson I taught my children. Not that their mother was evil, but that actions have consequences, that honesty matters, and that even in our darkest moments, we have the choice to respond with dignity rather than destruction. Sarah's betrayal nearly destroyed me. Instead, it revealed who I really am. And in the end, that knowledge, that certainty about my own character, became the foundation for everything I've built since.